Where are
I like
we?
it too.
What is
It
this
looks
place?
awkward, but it's much less so.
Yeah. It looked worse than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
It looked way worse
Agreed.
than it is.
Yeah.
It's much more comfortable in your hands than it looks right off the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, it got a lot of negative. Like when it was first announced, it got a lot of negativity aimed towards it. But I think it's a good.
You see my thumb?
Yeah.
You see how happy
Comfortable.
my thumb is?
Comfortable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see how unhappy my thumb is?
Yeah.
See this unhappiness? Hey guys, welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Amir,
I'm Brian.
I'm Jason.
I'm Allison.
and this week we're discussing handhelds, and Nintendo completely dominating
Yep.
the handheld market for a very
Since
long,
forever.
for a very long
console.
time.
Yep.
And you had asked me just before we started,
Yep.
what was the reason for the topic, or what points I wanted to make, and
Impetus.
you know, the Vita is let's
Puzzling.
Let's face the facts here. It's a fact. It's not an opinion. The Vita is a superior piece of hardware.
Yeah.
It is far more powerful. It could do a lot more. It
Yep.
is beautiful, the games that it can run, versus the 3DS.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Graphically.
this new one with the better processor or whatever's going on, but
Yep. Whatever.
but why? Why is the 3DS outselling the Vita by a gross amount? Even though this is the superior hardware. I mean, the Nintendo 3DS obviously has more developer support because it has a larger audience, right?
Right.
There's more potential to sell a lot of copies of your game. The Vita doesn't have that kind of install base, but why? Why is the Vita failing in comparison to a success like the 3DS?
Well, it wasn't always a success. I mean, if in comparing the 3DS with the Vita, you have to take into account that Nintendo did get a head start. Like, the 3DS was the initial competition was the PSP. The Vita came a couple years later, but Nintendo had a bit of a misstep with the release of the 3DS. If we remember, it wasn't until about a year into that console's life that they slashed the price, which they never did before, and that skyrocketed sales and got your install base, and that got developers on board.
What was the launch price? Do you remember? Because I don't remember this happening.
It was $249.
It was a large
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah, it was like
It was a
$250.
lot.
Is it not
It's
that
3D.
now?
It's $169.
It's like nowhere.
What did I pay for
Wait, the
this?
3DS
I don't
XL is...
No. So you didn't have the XL at launch.
Right, okay.
You had the standard one. The standard one was,
Yeah.
I think, it was $249.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
about $250.
Yeah.
Standard being 2DS or...
No. The
No, it was-
2DS is
The
newer than
regular, I'm
3DS.
sorry, I meant the regular.
No.
This is not confusing at all.
Yes, and the messaging is so freaking confusing, and they still
Very
succeed.
clear.
Okay, so
Very
Nintendo DS, is that what we're talking about?
No.
here?
We're talking about the
next
original
generation of it.
3DS.
Okay.
We're talking about the original 3DS.
The original 3DS. Okay.
The original 3DS launched with a $249 price tag.
Okay.
It was smaller than this thing. This is the 3DS XL. So it has a smaller screen, smaller touch screen, but it was a bigger screen, slightly bigger footprint than the DS Lite, DSi, that it was the successor to. And Nintendo,
Yep.
actually, you could,
Yep.
even when I was working in gaming at Best Buy in the early 2010s, then you could come in and you could buy a DS Lite, a DSi, a 3DS, or a 3DS XL. All four were on the shelves right next to
That's
each
really
other.
confusing, but okay.
And then you had the DS section and then the 3DS section. And it's not confusing at all that when the 2DS comes out, it plays 3DS games, just not in 3D.
No, okay.
No, that's anyway, and it's not going to get any more confusing, of course, when the new 3DS comes out. It's not. It is a new 3DS, but it's called new 3DS. When the new 3DS comes out and has new 3DS games, but it can play the 3DS games, which also play on the 2DS, but the new 3DS games won't play on the old 3DS. Did you follow that?
I did actually.
We good?
I
Yeah.
did not know that. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, so Xeno, was it
the game that they
Xenosaga,
announced
not
with
Xenosaga.
the new
The new
3DS.
one.
Yeah.
Xenochron. Oh God, I just
The one that they ported over on the Wii originally, just like about a year or two ago.
that I recently went to GameStop and picked up a used copy for because
Xeno something Chronicles, wasn't it?
yeah, Xenoblade.
Is it Xenoblade?
Xenoblade Chronicles. Yeah, so that is they're remaking it for the new 3DS, and it will not be playable on the old 3DS. So I cannot play it on my Zelda 3DS XL. Anyway, going back to the original point, it launched with at $249.
Okay.
Launched at $249, way too expensive. It had 3D, which was cool, but it was and it was glasses free 3D, which is still a novelty. It's it's still something that you don't see in regular practice. And we've seen 3D kind of get pushed, and it's now become just a checkbox on a TV that you buy. Yeah, it's
Like
got
ours.
3D.
Yeah, because we didn't give a damn about it. That was just like, oh, well, it's part of it. Yeah.
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 It's just a gimmick anymore. That's just
Well, it's
Yeah.
always been a
There.
gimmick.
Yeah.
it's
It,
there.
and it's debatable if it still works as a spectacle at the movie theater. Anyway, so $249. About a year later, less than a year later, I think they slashed the price to $169, and which is about where it is today. I want to say. I think it might be around the $149, $169,
I think it's
$149,
still
depending on.
around
Okay,
there.
Because the 2DS, when we bought it new, was $130.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you may see sale prices or things like that where they drop like $20, $30. Because, I've seen the 2DS on occasion, like last Black Friday was $99. I've seen it since then a couple of times, $99. The 3DS will occasionally drop to $150. The 3DS XL will occasionally drop to like $179. So they do those kinds of sales all the time.
When that happens and the 3DS XL drops to $179, give me a buzz.
Okay, well,
I'll be there.
Probably one weekend a month, some retailer has it for $179. It may not be the model you want. It may just be like the blue one or the black one, whatever random color. That's another confusing part of it. It's just like they have new bundles coming out with new editions, like the Nintendo Retro Edition 3DS XL. That's new, but it's not the new 3DS. So, so they started out really terribly, and the PSP was their main competition. But once they dropped the price, they got that install base. And while I don't have demographics figures, the largest demographic, without any sources to cite, off the top of my head, is going to be your younger gamers. It's going to be your, kind of like preteen, teen, gamers who are going to play like the Juju Pets and like anything that ends in a Z, because there was tons of those. Pets and
tons with a Z.
Horses, cats, dogs, puppies, but I think the biggest reason is not Mario, it's not Zelda, sure as heck isn't Metroid. It's Pokemon, exactly.
I was gonna say, when did the new Pokemons come out when it was failing so badly? Because that's all I usually care about. Oh, new Pokemon, damn.
That drives systems. Pokemon drives systems.
Okay, so that's the killer app.
That's what
3DS.
that's what drove this.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
That is actually the reason.
all right,
That's
so
why we
that's
bought
good that
this.
we already moved into killer apps. So, do you guys own Vitas?
No. I've thought about it here, especially recently.
I had a PSP at one point.
I did also. But that's the thing. The only reason I wanted an original PSP was for one game, and that was it.
Same for me. So, my original PSP was more of the Vita design now.
Yeah.
And my killer app at the time was Metal Gear Portable Ops. And the reason is that it was part of the Metal Gear story timeline. It was basically what comes after Metal Gear Solid 3. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I really wanted to, experience that. I'm a big Hideo Kojima fan. I love the franchise. It's worth buying the whole handheld.
I got it and played Crisis Core and then got rid of it.
Yeah.
When I got the PSP.
Yeah, and then I looked for PSP games, and this is the interesting thing about the Sony side of handhelds is when we talk about the Vita, pretty much everybody in the media is going to say the same thing too. The one thing that the Vita has going for it is even though it has a small install base, the people who do own the Vita want to buy games. And they buy more games on this handheld in ratio to any other handheld or even a console sometimes.
Yeah.
And again, I don't have numbers.
No,
Yeah.
but I've heard that.
But I hear it all the time. And I mean, I don't even know where I'm going with that. I don't even know where I'm going with that. All right, so I got the original PSP for it, and this PSP. Now I got rid of it, and I got the Vita. Right? I was like, I'm going to upgrade. I thought the Vita would play any PSP game. Turns out that's not the case. One of the games it doesn't play is Portable Ops. Okay.
Can you? Do you have a digital copy
of Portable
Ops? Yeah.
I have it in my PSP.
Did you try downloading it to the PS3 and syncing it to the Vita? And it still wouldn't it still doesn't do it. Because that works for some of the titles that you can't download through the store.
Right, because they're PSP games and that's how it worked. It would go to your PS3 and then it would go to your PSP.
Yeah.
No, my Vita doesn't even recognize that there is a Portable Ops there.
Wow.
So I ended up having to rebuy a PSP. Now, I didn't have the PSP Go.
Right.
But I said, I remember this one day in Toys R Us, they had a PSP Go on demo, and I still had the PSP. There was no reason for me to buy it. And I held it, and I was like, wow, it's really comfortable. And it's really portable. Like, this is really portable.
Yeah,
I was like, man, I wish I had this. And at that time, digital downloads wasn't big.
No.
No. It was like the big complaint about the PSP Go. Yeah, sometimes forward thinking is too forward for Sony, and that's what happened with this. And ultimately, the PSP is gone. But I bought this just to get Portable Ops again because it was a different username. Thanks, Shuhei.
Again, seriously,
let us change our PlayStation Network name.
Please, my brother is stuck with Printhead because I thought, Printhead, here you go, and I had no idea that that's his username. You look up Printhead, like the printer head on a printer. But
yeah, so I had to rebuy it, and now
confirmed.
I played I played I played a little bit of Portable Ops on the PSP, and again I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I wish this was that portable. And I started to think to myself, and it was naive of me because I didn't know enough of the 3DS or any of the DSs because they were just, you said it, they were too expensive for me.
Yeah.
My killer app for the PlayStation Vita was PS4. When they said, when they revealed the PlayStation 4 and that they were focused on remote play was the big thing on PSP where I was like, wow, if they really pushed remote play, this would be freaking awesome. And then that was the messaging that they gave for the Vita and the PlayStation 4, and I was like, my first PlayStation 4 accessory. Is this. And I do love it. I do love remote play. We had a show where we were talking about Destiny. You were able to play Destiny right here at the table. So I do love remote play. But I do think that if this was a little bit more portable, it would definitely give them more sales. I'm sorry. You wanted to say something.
I just have a quick question. So any game that you can download through the store through like the PS3, you can play on this?
No.
I know. Like he was having a problem with Portable Ops.
If it was for the PSP, most games are available for download through the PSN store through the Vita. If they're not available through the PSN store on the Vita and they are available on the PS3 store, you can download them to the PS3, and at least some of them you can then sync to the PS Vita and get them over that way.
Is War of the Lions one of them? Because I know that's what he wants to play.
Oh, yeah, no.
Tactics, War of the Lions.
Because that's
all he wants to play.
I love 7, but literally Tactics.
Because I already have it
Tactics
on the
is my
PS3,
favorite
so.
Final Fantasy game they've ever made.
Oh, Final Fantasy Tactics?
I love that game. And when they did War of the Lion, they added in the last chapter, because there's only 4 in the normal disc-based version, but the PSP version, they added in the extra chapter, and they retranslated it, because the original PS1 version of it, you'd get to late chapter 3, early chapter 4 of the end of the game. Nothing makes sense. It was just like, what the hell are they talking about?
All your base are belong to us.
It was worse than it wasn't. It was worse than that. It was like, what the hell's going on? You son of a bitch.
Sorry.
Oh, you have it.
Yeah, I have it. Of course I
That
have
is
it.
my absolute one of my favorite games. I
think it was free at one point, and I was like, I don't even have a PS Vita, but it needs to be there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think it's still in your.
So you got that
still
via PlayStation Plus? Or?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got the Final Fantasy Tactics War of the
God
Lions.
damn it! Now I want
And in your system too.
Yeah, it's just sitting here. It's sitting here with let's see what I have. Chrono Cross, Final Fantasy 9, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Front Mission 3.
Ooh, that was a good one too.
Mega Man Maverick Hunter, which is a remake of Mega Man X from the Super Nintendo.
No,
So anyway, that's the good ones of the old.
God damn it!
Keep saying Mega Man, and he'll want to go out and buy a PS Vita as soon as we get.
Anyway.
He showed me Tactics.
Mega
That was
Man.
enough as
That's
it
Tactics,
is.
Mega
Mega
Man.
Man.
You can actually buy and play on here not only War of the Lions but the original PS1. So if you want to do like a comparison of how they play, you can do both.
Well, we have
Well, I
the
know we
original
wanna play
Tactics.
together.
Well, I
that we
already
play
know a lot
on.
of the differences. Like, there's that extra
Yeah.
chapter, and then August comes back as a zombie in that one, which I wanted to kill the son of a bitch anyway. But then also the extra classes they added, like the Dark Knight and the Holy Knight and all those. That's why I want to get it again.
I'm not saying that you would have to do that. I'm just saying it's kind of cool that you can.
No, you're saying that I have to.
No,
Yes,
I'm not.
yes, you
No,
are.
I'm
Yes, you
not
are.
saying.
Yes,
No,
you are.
that's like saying that you have to play through Destiny with all 3 classes, and that you don't have to do that.
And I won't. I will not.
We know you won't.
I will
It's
not.
okay. But I did totally get the Crucible trophy for
Did you?
maxing out the marks. So I have all of the Crucible
snap.
trophies now because I just happened to hit a Hunter, a Warlock, and a Titan with a Super on one mission, and got the
snap.
trophy for killing all 3 without dying. Which, Mr.
Yeah.
15-0
And 10
kill death ratio, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. That's not a problem for you, but for me, I was just like, "What? That was the trophy." And you talk about this, and not to get too far off on trophies, but for every game, like at least
Trophies.
for me,
Trophies are a piece of this.
That's true. That's true because it's something we didn't have on the PSP.
Yeah, and that was also another push for me with the Vita.
Exactly. I look at the trophy list. It may not. It's usually not the first thing I look at, and it's usually after release and after I've read the review, 7 ideas, and then I'll read the trophy list. I know some people are just like, I'm going to read the trophy list as soon as it leaks out on PS3trophies.com or whatever. And oh no, there's spoilers in there. Don't read it. I don't care. Like whatever. So I read the trophy list. And I'm looking through and I'm just like, okay, doable. I don't know about that doable. Oh, there ain't no way in. Now I'm going to do that one. But if you do that one, it's when you have that. I always have that one on the list. Which, if I'm never going to do it. Like, there's no way in a million
Defeat
years.
the game on the hardest possible difficulty ever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not. No, it's not even that. It was like, I know that one's going to be tough, but I figure you throw enough lives at it, eventually it'll crack. But there's usually one that's just like kill 100 flying enemies. With a sniper rifle precision shot while jumping.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. It's just like, why would I even do that?
One of them on Final Fantasy X is max out everyone's sphere grid. No.
No.
Not gonna do
I remember when it was because I was trying to get I hit 50% with it. It was Mortal Kombat 9. And it was, you have to gain, 2 of the ones I realized was when I was like, there's no way in hell I'm getting this platinum, was gain mastery with one character and then gain mastery with all characters. And the gain mastery was like, you had to literally register, I think it was 24 hours gameplay with that character.
That's ridiculous. So, but
That is beyond ridiculous.
that's the thing. It's just like, but when you have that trophy, and then you're just like, that's impossible. There's no way I'm going to do it, and then you do it, and then what's your excuse for not doing the rest of them?
Sure.
I can't. But you know what? You know what has stupid, ridiculous trophies, and I only looked at like one season, one version, and I was just like, no, I put how many hours in this? Not one trophy. It's just like, no, this is all just no. MLB The Show.
Which one?
It was, I don't know.
There's a lot of sports games that are like that.
Yeah, well, but because it's just like, hit a home run over the left field fence with a pink bat on Mother's Day. or something crazy like that with a specific player. It's just like, and and it's not, you can't, you'd have to you can sim to it, or and then you could play it, and then you'd have to hit it. It's just like, but you have to unlock things to get it. It's just like, why?
Yeah.
That sort of thing is like, I don't get.
For me, trophies are never something to hunt. For me, trophies are something after the end game. Mm-hmm. Like, after I beat the game, I don't even look at the trophy list. After I beat the game, sometimes you get that urge to play the game right away. Like, I remember the old God of Wars, the first 3 ones. Every time I would finish it, it'd be like, I want to do that all over again right now. Mm-hmm. But what I would start to do, and it was with Grand Theft Auto 4, where I really started to have fun with trophies and started to do that strategy because it was a lot of fun. I beat Grand Theft Auto 4 and I was like, well, I still want to play, but I don't want to just roam around the world. I want to have a purpose. So I looked at the trophy list and I was like, ooh, these look really fun. Yeah. And then I would pick one. I would say, all right, I'm going to do that one, if I had nothing better to do. But now games come out way too frequently. Yeah. I wouldn't say frequently. The calendar dates are the same. Yeah. There's just so many. Like right now it's October 14th. Yeah. You guys are going to see it tomorrow, Wednesday. But
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. God willing.
Yeah. Good Lord willing. We'll be able to post this for you. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's October 14th and I'm already like, man, there's probably a list of games that came out today. Plus hardware. We got PlayStation TV.
A litany, you might say.
Another Vita thing.
Yep.
PlayStation TV came out today.
Yep.
Yesterday for you.
Yeah.
Plays Vita games.
Yep.
Okay.
Not all of them.
All right. Here's the thing I don't... This is one of the big things that I have a problem with Vita. And the PlayStation Portable, too.
Yeah. Okay.
The messaging is way off.
Yeah.
Messaging is always way off. And
what messaging?
I think... Exactly. And I think that's one of the big... Well, the negative messaging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't have any proper messaging and you're not really pushing your hardware, right?
Yeah.
And... just as far as your marketing goes, if that messaging is not there, you're not making the sales. So right off the bat, everybody, all the publishers, all the people that develop games, they look at those numbers, and that's what they see. At first, of course, they see the hardware, when it's before a system launches, they're told, hey, we're going to come out with a Vita. These are the specs. Mm-hmm. And they go, shit, that's a handheld specs? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, let's make games for that. That thing is going to sell like crazy. And then Sony does absolutely nothing. Mm. And it doesn't sell like crazy. And they're like, oh, well, I don't know if we should make another game for that because, only 50 people own it. The messaging is way off. The thing is that right now they had big opportunities. It's like they don't have faith in their product. We heard about the Borderlands 2 issue with Vita, where they had this bundle for the Vita to really push the Vita, and it worked. And people really wanted to buy the Borderlands 2 bundle, and there weren't any in the stores left.
Correct.
How do you do that?
Well, actually,
how do you say to yourself, I'm not going to sell enough of these, so let me just, undercut?
Well, that's really more the stores than anything else, because there were plenty online. So it's not like there was a shortage. So you could go online and you could order them from Amazon and e-tailers.
So the retailers didn't have any.
Yeah, the retailers didn't have it because they're based on a system of you get stocked based on how much you sold the previous whatever time period.
Okay.
So because they didn't sell, and it's a Vita SKU, so that's all that these systems are looking at. So you get restocked based on what you sell. So if you sell out of a product one week, then you'll get it restocked.
Well, we sold one last month, so let's order one Borderlands.
Yeah, well, exactly. So you got that whole history. It's very complex equations. I'm not saying that this is a good thing, but that's why. And so, those 3 copies would sell out, and it would be a week before they would get restocked, and they might only get 3 more because the history said that they normally sell 3 in 3 weeks. So it's not until you get to the 3rd or 4th week that they start getting more in because they're selling more. And it's all part of trying to balance that equation of, well, how much money do we spend on the product? How much money do we spend on shipping? How do we make sure that the truck or trucks that we send to each location are as full as possible, or efficiently packed, and all that kind of bullshit. Because there wasn't a shortage of consoles, there was just because of the poor performance to that point.
Right.
you didn't have adequate supply at the retailers. And so really, I don't, so that's, so, but part of that is on Sony for not kind of pushing. It's just like, hey, look, we think this is really going to be big. We think that you should, increase supplies. There was none of that.
There was a point where PS3 was not performing well, specifically for Best Buy. I remember this.
Yeah.
PS3 was not performing well, and Sony had set up with Best Buy where they said they wanted the PlayStation 3 consoles positioned geared more towards the adults as a Blu-ray player, and they wanted it next to the TVs. And that was very... I mean, it was great for them because really for gamers, they weren't selling very well at all.
No.
But for the Blu-ray player market, they were kicking ass because they were the cheapest. At that time when Blu-ray just came out, they were the cheapest Blu-ray and reviewed everywhere as the best Blu-ray player you can get. And others weren't even functioning properly. I remember that the next popular one was a Samsung, and it couldn't even finish playing a Blu-ray.
Right.
But they were more proactive with the PS3 and trying to make that succeed, as opposed to what they're doing with the Vita, which now was not the time when they are selling so poorly to go and jump in and say, yeah, we're not going to do, a lot of first-party AAA games on the Vita anymore. And just kind of like, I understand that they wanted it to have a positive message, maybe just, be transparent about their plans. And maybe push other stuff.
It's like being transparent about the Manhattan Project. We're building, we're going to blow it up.
Yeah.
We're just going to blow it up. We just want to be forthcoming with you guys.
The message there was, hey, we give up. That's what it feels like to a regular schmo who's listening to it. It's like we give up, and then more bad messaging is the absence of any discussion of the product. Is then you have a press conference that follows these big conferences, and you don't even talk about that.
Don't even mention it.
Yeah,
it's like we're done with that.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? Your PlayStation 4, part of its feature set was pushing the Vita.
Yeah,
and I think that would have been great. And I think the messaging was very bad there, too, because then they also said with the Vita that they thought that it was a really good piece even for your living room. It didn't necessarily have to be portable. That it was that it was still going to be a good piece for your living room because it could do this and it could do that. Now, the people who don't own the Vita don't know. They don't know what we know.
No.
We know that this thing is awesome.
Yeah.
And if it got support, Nintendo would be done. Because, I go into bed.
I wouldn't go
upstairs.
that far because
Pokemon.
fighting against Pokemon.
Well, the demographic question. The
demographics are different. But what I'm
yeah.
saying is like it would blow it out of the water because technology-wise, the developers, any third-party developer that looks at a DS and looks at this will say, "I want to make it for that because that thing will be able to do it
on specs alone."
Yeah, on specs alone, yes. But yeah, the feature set is pretty amazing. I could go to bed. My wife complains, you're playing Destiny all night. Come to bed. Okay. Take my Vita with me. Go to bed. I'm playing Destiny.
Yeah.
Nice. Snoring. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't do that with the DS.
No.
Any of the DSs?
No. Although I wish, I don't know, like you have to have just the right kind of setup for remote play to work really well.
Was it really smart for Sony to give up before PlayStation TV comes out, when technically it converts the Vita into a home console, an entry point home console?
Right.
The PS2 was priced at $99 when it was phased out, and they said, well, this is your entry point console. And they had, it was very low sales, but they had sales. PS2 was staying alive in its 10th year.
Oh, yeah, games.
Absolutely.
Because people did look at it as an entry-level console. You couldn't afford a $500 system. You bought a $100 system.
Well, it was till through, 2012 that they made the show for PS2, was it? Yeah, it was.
It still had support.
Ever.
Yeah, it still had support, and it was still, enough sales for developers to say we still want to make games for it.
Yeah.
The Vita just became a home console. This is when you come out with your hardcore title and push your PlayStation TV.
Yeah.
They basically buried their PlayStation TV as a remote play option to play your PlayStation 4 in any room. I could play my PlayStation 4 in any room already.
Yeah, well, but the thing is that it is much more stable with that wired connection. That's
right.
Part of what there are a lot of things appealing about the PlayStation TV conceptually, but nobody knows what they are. If you just ask a random person, unless you're following it and you're already interested,
exactly.
Why should you care? Because my concern as far as the sales is just they can't easily position it as another set-top box, as another like Roku type device, a Roku Apple TV.
Right. And you can't compete in that area because I have a Roku and that thing is.
So, and because it's still the same interface, it's still the bubbles, and it's the same apps. It's not like there's new apps. It's the same operating system. It's basically the same hardware. So if you don't like how the Vita looks and performs and whatever, then you're not going to be overly thrilled with the PlayStation TV. I keep wanting to say Vita TV because that's what they called it in Japan, because it's the same thing. But what's appealing for the remote play and even more appealing, and also appealing for the PlayStation Now aspect, is that you have that wired connection. You've got that gigabit potential connectivity, so that can help to mitigate, if you can wire it in, a lot of those lag issues. Because if you're wired to your PS4, you don't have to worry about, well, how good's your wireless signal, and who's using the microwave, and why doesn't this have dual band, and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to worry about that. It's all just connected through. And for PlayStation Now, you have a much more reliable, much more stable connection, so that, now you have that $99 not only a PS4 extension, but a PS3 replacement for some of those games. So when you have to retire your PS3, maybe you don't buy another one. Maybe you just go buy a PS Vita. PlayStation TV. And you stick it up. You stick it into onto that other TV there, and then that can play any PS3 games. You can just rent those PS3 games. You don't have to own them anymore. You just get rid of your collection. You rent them if you want to have a little nostalgia or something like that. You still got the same DualShock 3 controller, which actually, you know what? That reminds me, when you took the little sidetrack, I'm going to take a little detour here around the cul-de-sac, turn around in somebody's basketball court, and then come back out. The DualShock 4 also works. So why can't we have touchscreen game compatibility if the DualShock 4 works? Because the DualShock 4
has the mouse,
has a touch area.
Yeah.
So the only thing, I guess, is the rear touch panel. Because, like, for instance,
yes.
Golden Abyss has a couple of mini games, or a couple of puzzles that you have to solve using the rear touchpad, and like one where you have to like hold it up to the light and stuff like that. And I guess that's not really reproducible without going in and actually changing those assets and how that, the mechanics of that actually works. So, okay, fine. But if it's just front touchscreen, like, Escape Plan, I don't think Escape Plan is...
Well, the thing is that there is no indicator for where your finger is. Follow me here. If you're on the Vita and you touch the screen, it's not like there's like this little pointer that goes with your, with your finger to touch it. So they would actually have to add, if you were using the touchpad, you wouldn't know where on the screen you are necessarily on the touchpad. So they would have to add something to the game where you can actually see a pointer.
Yeah.
I don't know if they could do that on the hardware side. I would think that you would have to do that in the game itself. And that's probably why it doesn't support. Here's the thing. Yeah. Here's an example of what I'm saying, where they say, "Oh, we're not going to do AAA support. We're probably, not going to make that many AAA games." Okay. Let's say, for example, they had announced that they are making an Infamous for Vita.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't they?
Okay, so let's say that they announced that they were making an Infamous for Vita.
Yeah.
And they bundled it with PlayStation TV. And then they also came out with a price drop for the Vita and bundled it with Infamous.
Yeah.
That would raise sales.
Yeah.
That would spike it really nice in the West.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that in Japan they're not doing that bad with the Vita.
Yeah. Didn't they start to do that with the PSP before it switched over to Vita? Because if I remember correctly, didn't they have like the Ascension bundle? Or like
they had tons of bundles for the PSP, and it worked really well for them too.
Yeah, towards the end of its cycle before releasing that.
Really well. Oh my God, I still remember that Darth Vader PSP.
Oh yeah, the Battlefront.
Man,
was it Rennet?
I saw somebody on the train with that, and I was just like,
done. I have it.
Yeah, I just think it's poor timing on their part. I think that they're so concentrated on the PlayStation 4, maybe. But, I mean, Sony hasn't always had great messaging since PlayStation 1, really.
No.
I mean, PlayStation 1, that You Are Not Ready was brilliant.
Yeah.
I actually think for the small budget that they had for the PlayStation Home commercials, those were really awesome, where they actually showed people transforming into like these virtual characters. That was cool, and hooked people at least to try it.
Yeah.
Of course, the product wasn't there, but
The crying baby with PS3, those weird PS3 commercials.
yeah, I mean, there is some cool thing, but when it comes to handhelds, they just don't have.
No.
It's almost like they don't know what they're doing.
What was it? Step your game up. What was his name?
Oh my God!
What was his name?
How did he replace Butler? Kevin Butler?
Well,
Yeah.
no, he was concurrent with he was.
They even did a passing of the torch commercial where it was Kevin Butler, almost like hiring him.
They were but he was the PSP. Like, he didn't do the PS3 commercials. I don't think he was pretty much just PSP. So anytime they advertised something PSP, it was the kid, and then PS3, it was usually Kevin Butler. But yeah, so the messaging is not out there. It's just not.
Now the design. Okay, I understand. Thank you for bringing
Put that
this,
in your
by the way.
hand. Yeah.
Okay.
It feels so much better, doesn't it?
Can I hold on? I'm gonna come over here. Show you guys the stuff.
Yep.
In case you don't have these handhelds.
No, that's not even
kinda
your
cut off
cord.
for a while
Oh,
there.
I'm confused.
Okay, let me bring the
There we
mic
go.
over here.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Let's do something here. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm gonna show you this. This is the 2DS. All right. Yeah.
See how happy your thumb is?
See how happy my thumbs are? All right, let me show you the Vita.
Yeah.
Wait. Left is right, right is left. Okay, look at
Look
this.
at those sad thumbs.
Sad thumbs. Very sad thumbs.
This, though.
I actually did play. I forgot what game. It was FIFA 14. I played it.
That's because you're supposed to play it like this. We just didn't know.
It's ridiculous.
I know, isn't it? That's the one reason. That's one of the reasons why I consider getting the redesigned one, because it's supposed to sit much better.
Are they having a redesigned one?
No, they did a redesign.
Oh, that
one.
slim one is
Yeah, it's better. Yeah, it's easier to hold.
okay.
But
I thought that because it was slimmer, it'd be harder.
No, because they decreased the size of this,
Okay.
Yeah.
the rear touchpad,
Okay.
I didn't.
um,
I remember seeing
and
that.
they increased the size of the area where your hands actually rest. So your
Okay.
hands rest more easily on the back side, so it's
Okay.
easier to grip. So you don't have to have weird contortion.
But who
movements,
tested these things? Like, who
double-jointedness.
held it and didn't say, "Oh my God, I'm going to get arthritis in 15 minutes"?
Yeah. But the specs, man, the specs. So it's just like certain priorities are just like, well, we're making this as powerful as it is and as we can. We can't change the design now or whatever.
Right.
Those sorts of things. It's just like, well, we can't change this because of the rear touchpad. Just like, get rid of the rear touchpad. Just get rid of it. I do hold out hopes, though. I do. Like I think on a previous show or previous conversation, anyway, I was talking about. I don't think they're going to redesign it. I'm rethinking that because I think that they can make remote play better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that they can bring costs down, and and I'm thinking that we'll get a more portable version.
I'm hoping so, but I hope it doesn't end up being the PSP Go, where it becomes too little, too late.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the PSP Go was not just too little, too late. It was a digital product for an analog market.
right. Well, no, I mean that's true. That's why I feel. But also,
That's the only reason I didn't buy one, because the Sony store had them set up.
Well, the store
I
was
miss the
terrible.
Sony store.
but it was like this
That's
came
what I said
after the PSP 3000.
Yeah.
This was a fourth version. It was already, a market that they were,
Yeah.
trying to save. They were already on the downside, and then, they came up with this, which is the future. They were right, digital downloads, because the first thing that went out on my PSP was the UMD drive. I dropped it once, and then all my UMDs needed to go away. I sold them all on eBay, and then I had to do the whole re-download them.
Although that one still had the wireless.
I will
speed,
say,
didn't it?
I will say that the games that I do play on this are freaking amazing. Velocity 2X was free on PlayStation Plus. Was that last month or the month before?
Last month.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that good. I really didn't. And then I was on that flight, and man, I killed the battery life on this thing. Like this, and the battery lasts a long time, but Yeah, I killed the battery playing like one session on that. I was on it for hours. I was like, oh my god, this is such a freaking great game. You guys should try it, by the way. Metal Gear Solid 3, playing that while I'm traveling is pretty awesome, and looks great.
Yep.
And of course, remote play. I can't say enough about remote play being awesome.
Yep. It just needs to be more awesome. And I think that I think that's part
The
of why
Vita,
they
I
do
think,
vision.
I think the Vita needs to incorporate, or at least the handheld market for Sony, because we talked about that price drop for Nintendo and their handheld market, and that's what made them soar, right? Yeah. Because they debuted at $249 and they had a price drop. Vita debuted at $249, didn't have a price drop for a very long time, and then when it did, it was the slim model.
No, they did. They dropped it to $199.
They dropped it to $1, but that was about the same time frame as the Slim. No,
the Slim just came out
March. So
I think no, it wasn't March. No, it was
I thought that was pretty recent.
Yeah, no, the Slim came out a few months ago. No, it's been $199 since I want to say the end of last year.
Okay, so when the PS4 launched was the price drop.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That's a good. That's a good time to do a price drop. It's still $199.
Well, and don't forget about the 3G model.
I don't even understand that.
The 3G Vita. Well,
what are you going to do with 3G?
Right. Well, it was supposed to make it more social because they had this Near app, which would show you other people who you could play with, and then
like
there
Street
was
Pass?
Exactly. It's supposed to be like Street Pass, except here's the thing: Street Pass is confusing enough because your device has to be on but asleep. Yeah. And then you just have to sort of wait for the blinky light to start blinking. And if a certain person's in a certain part of their system, when they close it, it's still not going to work. And you have to go and you have to enable it for all your games. And that's confusing enough. The thing is, I can explain Street Pass to you. It may take a while, but we can make it work more or less reliably. Nobody knows how Near works. Nobody. No. Sony doesn't even know. They're completely clueless. Nobody knows how it works. It's more of a mystery than how PlayStation Plus is profitable. We don't know. But nobody knows how Near works. Nobody has any idea. All it is, all I know is that, once or twice, when you were dabbling in Golden Abyss, I got a relic.
Really?
I have no idea what.
Where did it show up? In Near or
I got a notification and I had to launch the game. And it was just like, okay, you got a relic from Near. I'm like, okay, how do I get more? Nothing.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing. If you got something from Golden Abyss and it was for me, I was nowhere near you.
I know. You were in, New York, right? Yeah, exactly.
So I was 800 miles away. I was nowhere near you.
So it has nothing to do with proximity then, right? Or is it your friends list?
Street Pass kind of works that way, too. Yeah. It worked that way in Bravely Default. It was like, okay, so somebody just joined me. They're in, Japan. They're in Canada. Okay, they're doing stuff in my game. I'm just going to leave them there and go back to what I was doing. Okay.
So nobody knows, but it was supposed to make it more social. It was supposed to allow you to be connected so that you could use the web browser, and so I think it was trying to compete with cell phones and trying to fit into that market of cell phone connected but not a cell phone, which really now the market is more this, you can buy these just bulk plans, right, of where you have all of these devices and they all share data and all that kind of stuff. The market's a little better situated for it now. 2-3 years ago, it was just like, okay, so this is going to cost how much, and I get how much data, and I can't play online with people because it's too slow? What's the point? Like you say, why? And then, no, but we have all these other features.
Here's the really bad part.
How do they work? I don't know.
The really, really bad part about the 3G is that their apps, they have to depend on third parties to develop these apps. So let's say, for example, Facebook. I don't know if it's been fixed. I've given up on Facebook on the Vita. I got on the Vita, and the first couple of days, Facebook worked great. I was really stoked about it. I was like, okay, well, I have some apps, just playing on my Vita, go on Facebook. Okay, cool. Well, the Vita app stopped working, so the temporary solution, I guess, was let's make Facebook load on the web browser. It's a really bad idea on 3G.
Yeah.
Because it took forever.
Yeah.
So I would just put the Vita down and pick up my cell phone. 4G.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm on Facebook, and it's the browser. So I already prefer my phone. I just gave up on Facebook after 6 months of not fixing that.
Yeah,
I gave up.
They did fix it. I don't have Facebook on my Vita though. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying. It's like it seems like it's difficult to develop for.
Yeah,
it seems like people are still struggling to figure things out for it, and that it's not welcoming for app developers, which is where I think the Vita would shine, because if you had apps and you had games, working in tandem like we do now with the PS4, it would feel a lot more comfortable in a Vita. Use it as a second screen experience for a game. Let's push that. I think one of the things that Sony would definitely benefit from is a philosophy that they had when they were making exotic consoles, like the PS3, where it was, okay, it costs you $180 to manufacture a Vita, sell it for $100. Just get it out. Just build your install base.
Make it up on software.
Yeah, and make it up on software. Let the developers come in, and say, oh, we have an audience, let's start making games. Because the people that are making games, they're making great freaking games. And if you have a big library of games, that's how you compete with Nintendo.
Yep.
That's how Sony did it when the PlayStation 1 came out. That's how they were able to compete with Nintendo. Nintendo went cartridge, and PlayStation said, we're going to kick your ass, and just had all this high-quality software, sold everything at a much more reasonable price, got everybody hooked, built up their install base, and
Yep.
I think if the Vita did that, because it's powerful hardware, it becomes an even better deal. And then whether people understand the messaging or not, it's $100 or $150 for this as opposed to that.
Oh yeah.
And this is the kind of fidelity I get, and this is what I want.
Yep.
And the developers will come within a year. Give them some time to develop something. And the AAA stuff, you don't want to do a first party, which you will, because Sony is a games publisher too, and they'll want that audience for themselves as well.
Yep.
But even if they don't, they'll get the AAA from other people who really want to push the power of a Vita and really bring that experience. Another thing that I hear in the media is people saying, oh, Sony's Vita, they try to do like a core experience, right? Like a hardcore experience where it's high fidelity. You don't need that when you're on the road because you can't really get into a story. But that's actually not true.
Right.
Because on the Vita, if you're in the middle of a game, like I was in a Metal Gear Solid 3 cutscene, and all of a sudden Captain on the plane says, well, everybody shut off your devices, which makes absolutely no sense. You should be able to land the plane. But anyway, okay, shut off your devices. I don't. I just press that button, and
it's suspended.
It's suspended. When I come back on, I press the button, I swipe, and boom, I'm right back, even in a cutscene. It's not like it skips the cutscene or anything. I didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
This will do that too. The sleep
So,
mode.
I mean, it works.
Exactly.
It just, they need the developer support. And for Sony to come out as a first party and tell people, we're not going to make anymore.
Freedom Wars is it.
Yeah.
For the near future. But they are publishing these smaller games, and I guess that they think that's more lucrative.
So we talked enough about the Vita.
Yeah.
What makes the 3DS successful?
Well, maybe we should make this the kind of going around the table, because we're kind of pushing.
No, yeah.
We're pushing time already.
Yeah. So, what makes the 3DS? What makes the Nintendo's strategy more successful? Because we're not even touching on the fact that both of these are getting annihilated by the mobile cell phone device market, the smartphone market, and as far as games and volume and revenues and all that kind of stuff. But what makes Nintendo successful is, aside from Pokemon, is really probably the messaging behind a solid product. It is a well-made piece of equipment. The Nintendo portables are historically more durable than they have any right to be. Case in point, Hingy over here. Hingy Mikami.
Happened like 4 or 5 years ago. Still totally. Threw it at concrete.
Yep.
Still totally fine.
Yep. And
same with this. Dropped, I don't know how many times. Totally
oh,
fine.
is this durable too? I actually wanted to ask that. Because I was like, the screens are exposed. It's probably not as durable.
Oh, no. I've dropped it from tables, from the bed, knocked it off. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's spent like months in my purse and fine.
Doesn't even look scratched up.
Yeah, and they're more successful with the games that they're best at because it's the console appeals to a younger demographic. And so the games that Nintendo is best at are the approachable, anybody can pick up and play, but not everybody can master, Mario's and Mario Kart and Zelda and all that appeal to a wide range of people and play well. And are things that and have that nostalgia factor, you know what I mean? And so they continue to release high quality products. It works as a portable. The scarcity really of games is because you're not always on your portable. Like you're not always in a situation perhaps where you're expecting to sit down with the portable and have some time. You maybe have 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 30 minutes there. And if there's 100 hours of gameplay, that's going to last you a lot longer than it will if you're sitting in front of the TV because you're going to dedicate more time to that. And I think that's part of what makes it successful. High quality, consistent messaging, consistent hardware, and competitive prices.
What do you think, Jason?
I mean, it's also like he was saying about the younger demographics. Also, you're going to have the people that whenever they were growing up were playing those games, and of course they're bringing the new ones. Of course, as we've said, the Pokemon brand. Mm-hmm. That's what sold a ton more. I mean, that's why we got that 2DS is because we knew Pokemon was about to come out, and she was going to want to play the new one. So of course we went out and got it, which it sold a ton. Mm-hmm. I do still remember going to Walmart after both versions of Pokemon came out and seeing stacks upon stacks upon stacks of the game there, and
But I think it's because they knew that they would sell so well,
which they did eventually start to sell down eventually. But it's just you've got the brand name. People know what it is.
Yep.
The PSP never really had that brand name, in my opinion.
No, it did not.
And I feel that you kind of need that brand name, especially for something that's more of a niche market.
Yeah.
You need that brand name to drive sales.
Yeah.
That's why, in my opinion, the 2DS has done so well. Even with the multiple versions that they release, while the PSPs, I mean, they've released multiple ones, but like I said, I only wanted one game for the PSP, and that was it. I was not interested in the rest, even the God of Wars, because I played all three of the mainstay.
And the one that you wanted was released on other PlayStation home consoles too. It's not even specifically a handheld game.
Yeah,
it's not even a killer app technically.
Yeah, so it was just like, what's the point of getting it? Yeah. I'm interested in a Vita, and I'm interested more now.
Yeah,
but I'm still one of those where it's not like I must go out and buy that one now.
You need a compelling reason, and Sony's not providing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of, to be honest, I mean, there's like being able to play tactics again is a big thing, but also with the being able to
I think you just sold them on Vita.
Well, no, even being able to play like
price drop
being
in a bundle.
At work and then connecting to the Wi-Fi and playing my PS4 at work would be a big thing. But I'm still not sold on it.
Right.
I'm still not sold on spending the money for it, and with them not really supporting it, in my opinion. That's
the killer. That's the end of that.
I'm more at the moment. If I had to choose between a DS or a Vita, I'd probably go more with a DS. To be honest.
Mm-hmm. All right, man.
What do you think?
Yeah, because when we got this, it was originally for Pokemon, but then we was like, oh, we can play, we can play Ocarina of Time again with the remake, and then with the Link Between Worlds, we got that, and then I was like. It's like, oh, Bravely Default, New Square. It was like multiple things that I wanted. I was like, okay, we should go ahead and get it. Because I thought we both believe that the 3D is a gimmick. So as soon as they revealed this, I was like, oh, this is what I would want. I'm never going to use the 3D anyways. Like, might as well. Because it still has the VR stuff in it as that part of the games. But there's just not the 3D part of it. And the durability was a big thing because even with the original PSPs, I'd heard of so many people dropping those, and they break almost instantly.
Yeah, I broke my UMD drive the moment I dropped it the first time. Yeah. It was like 2 weeks in.
Whereas this I've dropped it multiple times. Even back in the day when I had a Gameboy Color, that thing was indestructible.
Oh yeah, and I've actually tested if it could be destroyed, and it could not.
And with these two, it is just the long-standing Nintendo name the games that I'm not big on Mario, but I know most people are. Mario, the Pokemons, the Legend of Zelda games. I mean, this the only way that you can play a lot. And like I was just playing, I have Oracle of Ages on here now. Like when I got it, was that with the Link Between Worlds?
Mm-hmm.
And because that had never been released on the Virtual Console, I was like, man, that's one of my favorites. Go ahead and get that and start playing that. And it's just.
Mm-hmm. And
been
that's
a big part of it.
That's the other thing about the Nintendo consoles is just like, well, maybe I don't want to play this, maybe I want to play this, but there's going to be, maybe the next Mario game is going to be pretty rad.
I just thought of something.
Yeah.
Okay, they have their Nintendo shop that's on the 3DS and on the market, but you only have a choice selection.
Yeah.
What if they released it? Because, I mean, of course, they still sell very well in the handheld market. Mm. What if they released, after this, like a new version of a DS in about a year or two that has full access to every single thing they have on the Nintendo shop? I'm talking NES games, SNES games, Sega games.
It's Nintendo. It's not happening.
I'm just saying, what if that happened?
If it happened, everybody would be really happy. But I don't think, as far as sales go, that it would be good for Nintendo, because Nintendo doesn't have a history of doing that. They don't have a history of opening up their stuff for you to get any free content you've already paid for. They would love for you to pay for it again.
Mm-hmm. No, that's what I'm saying, though. It's the nostalgia factor, because they've already realized how well their old games sell again. When people go, oh, fuck, I can play
with the Wii, as soon as I got it, I'm like, oh my god, buy this.
That's my point, though. If people realized I can get another 3D, like a 3DS, and get those,
I'm not saying that would not push hardware.
I think
more than ever before.
I think there's a lot of those.
I'm saying that Nintendo
here,
doesn't need to do that.
Which one?
And so Nintendo will not.
Like old SNES games.
Old games.
Oh yeah, there's a lot already.
There's a lot already in here. I know that the Oracle of Ages and Seasons was one that we was upset wasn't available until recently, for no apparent reason.
Oh, you're saying to resell?
Like the re-download to the to like a handheld.
But you're saying to pay for it?
Pay for it, or if you like
if you wanted to play something that was on the Virtual Console,
exactly.
But pay $15 to play Punch Out again.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, then
but you can. It is there. It's for $5.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do that, but there's no cross-buy.
I'm saying the full. Is it the full catalog?
Oh no, it's still very limited. So if they released the whole full catalog, that would be huge.
Like Super Metroid, Super Link to the Past.
Yeah.
All these classic games that people play multiple times, even now.
Aren't a lot of those in there?
Yeah, a lot of those are
a lot
in there. But it's taken time. I mean, the 3DS has been out for what, 5 years now? Has it been 5 years? 4 years?
I believe that.
It's been a while. I want to say.
I don't remember, because I don't remember how long I've had this one.
I think it released in 2010 or 2011. Yeah, it's been a while, and we didn't get Earthbound until I want to say last year.
Yeah.
And definitely not at launch. I mean, we had maybe Super Mario Brothers and Ice Climbers or something like that. And all of their stores are segregated, so they're definitely not doing that correctly. Sony has an advantage in their new kind of digital environment.
Even then, I don't think by much. I think that there's something wrong with their infrastructure where they just can't do it as well, because we saw other things.
Shuhei.
We see, you can't change your name. Just a whole bunch of stuff. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah. On the next round table.
Sure. Yeah.
No, not that episode. No, that's the next round table.
Jeez. Right. Sorry.
Some people.
I think that Nintendo and the 3DS, as far as why they're successful, is definitely, and I don't mean any offense to anybody that plays Nintendo games, but Nintendo is more classified by parents as a toy. And if you take it handheld, it's something that distracts your children while they're in the back seat of the car, and they will play their games.
Freaking works, too.
Sony is not associated at all with that demographic. I think we laugh about it all the time on the internet. Why call it an Xbox? An Xbox One. Your kid's just going to call it a Nintendo. Your parents are just going to call it a Nintendo anyway. But I mean, they have that, and they have that name, and people understand that it's a toy. the missed opportunities with both the PSP and the PS Vita is exactly what they're called. The PSP has a PlayStation in there, but you don't see it anywhere.
It's buried.
It's not a PlayStation. It's a PSP.
Right.
It's not a PlayStation. It's a PS Vita.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just needs to be PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is our PlayStation. You could throw whatever you want after it, but don't do the abbreviation. It's not a PS.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if anything, PSP Go,
Mm-hmm.
call it PlayStation Go.
Go. There you go. That makes sense.
You know, and then it's like, oh, the parents know that their kids are playing PlayStation. Well, we're going to buy them a PlayStation Go so they could take their PlayStation wherever they go.
Yep.
Yay.
That makes sense.
So that right there is a piece of the messaging. It's like you understand that you're not just buying a piece of technology that may or may not succeed or what it will do, and you're not educated on it because the messaging is off. The name in itself is the messaging. It tells you exactly what it does and what they need.
Kind of like what Nintendo failed with Wii and Wii U.
Right.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Nintendo has Nintendo going for it. But if you took the Nintendo away, what the hell is a 3DS? What the hell is a DSi? What the hell is a DS? What's a 2DS? We said that it's all confusing, but to a parent, it's Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's, a Nintendo where they
I
can
get
be busy.
This is still a Game Boy to me.
Yeah.
I still call it.
Oh, it's,
Game Boy.
and speaking of misnaming opportunities, it's just like and burying a brand that had all kinds of cachet. I mean, why?
Yeah. And then, you know, the messaging, show people the fidelity. I mean, we're in an age of the internet and television. Show people, be aggressive. Show them the comparisons of like what a 3DS game looks like and what a Vita game looks like. You know, show them like how amazing it can be. And the most important thing, I think, that Sony is really missing here is that everybody right now in the games industry is very worried about the Wii U's performance and Nintendo overall. Mm-hmm. And that's because they are the entry point. They are the people that attract the kids that make the hardcore gamers of the future. Mm-hmm. And without them, there is no PlayStation, there is no Xbox in the future because nobody is growing up to want to play those mature games, those high-fidelity games. Nobody's getting into that.
They're all playing this now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So if that can't replace that, then
Right.
yeah.
And the thing is that it's still a controversy as to when a kid should be getting a smartphone. You know?
Well, now they just
I
have
see it.
tablets. They just have
Yeah,
the
they have
tablets
tablets
with
now,
the
and I see it all
durable little.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time,
Exactly.
too, where I work, because I work at a pediatrician's office. You hear about people giving their 3-year-olds their phone, here, play on this. Just
Right.
shut them up or what have you.
Exactly. No, but I mean, I know I wouldn't be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give my kid, when I have one, I wouldn't give him my phone.
Yeah.
I'd get him a Nintendo machine.
Yeah.
Stay busy. I think this is where you get the entry level. I think that's what Sony needs to learn, is that make games that are accessible for kids. Make that library. Make that your first-party support. Forget making AAA games. I agree. AAA games are not necessary on Handheld. It's not why we buy Handhelds. But make entry point games. Make games that distract kids, that have kids have fun, portable, you know, while their parents are busy or whatever, and attract that. Make it something that parents buy for their kids. Get that install base, and then have the parents observe what the kids are doing. So, I want one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you get that mature audience, and then you get those developers coming in and saying, well, there's an install base here. There's a really broad demographic now. It's not just kids with their Nintendo 3DS. It's this whole broad demographic anywhere from the age of 8 all the way up to 40.
Well, Nintendo kind of does that with this, with, you know, Ocarina of Time. It's not really something like your little 6-year-olds go and play, but you can get your little Nintendogs things.
I don't know
They
about
just
that.
see they just see Zelda.
This is actually
Well, yeah.
specifically
But still.
Ocarina of Time. My cousin, his son is getting into gaming now, and he's about like, you know, he's 8 years old. And I remember me at 8, you know, we played Nintendo. And I told my cousin, I was like, why is he only playing, he only plays Mario. That's all he plays. So why is he only playing Mario? He's like, oh, that's all he wants to do. It's like, okay, fine, let's go buy them games. And then we went to GameStop, and I bought them games because, you know, they're second, I don't even know what they are to me. They're my cousin's kids. I don't know. Second cousin, uncle, whatever they want to call me. Anyway, I go and I get them games, and he of course picks Mario, but he picks the soccer game Mario, which now is bringing prompts up on the screen that like when we take it home, it brings up prompts on the screen where he has to learn stuff, and I'm observing him, and I'm seeing him just skip all the prompts. And then he hates the game because he doesn't know how to control it. Right. So then he shuts it off. He says, I don't want this game. And then he goes and he plays like this girly game with his sister, which is way more simple. and they're not even technically. It's not even half as fun as that other game would have been for him if he just read a couple of sentences. So, what I told. Now he's like this. He's this opportunist. He always wants to make money. So like if they tell him like, oh, if you get an A on this test, and the A is like the score is 100, but they go all the way up to 115. So they say for every point you get over 100 on a test, I'm going to give you $1. Mm-hmm. This kid is like rich. He has like a bag full of money from them doing it. That's like his incentive because before that he was getting like 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. Now it's like 110, 112. Like whatever this crazy amount. So I said. Knowing that this is his drive, I told him right next to Dad. I said, "I'm going to buy you a game right now. It's 1,000 coins. It's Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It's a puzzle game, so it's going to make him think. He's really going to have to work hard." I said, "If you beat this game, I will get you 10,000 coins." He now does not stop bugging his dad. How do I do this? How do I do that? But the cool thing is that his dad doesn't know, because he didn't play Zelda. But the point is that what I was telling him, you have to monitor what your kids are playing, and it can't just be, after a certain age, you want their brains to be working. Yeah. You don't just want them to, vegetate in front of the TV and just press buttons and have the coordination. It's cool to have that, and that's fun. But, give them a role-playing game. Give them an adventure game. Something where they, have to be active. This is a great machine for stuff like that. You can expand that demographic. Like you said, you wanted to play, there was the nostalgia thing as an adult. You look at it, you're like, oh, I want to play that. You can have perfect for a broad demographic. I'm sorry.
No, you made me think of a couple things just real quick, and one of these probably might be we might want to talk on a different one because it's something that is a major point that I thought about this. But the quick question is: A, how close he is to Water Temple?
I don't know his progress. I just know that
because I wonder
he's trying.
Because if he gets there, that might be the stopping point.
my only goal is for him to try. My only goal is for him to try. And then if there's frustration or crying or anything, then it's like, okay, well, I'll get you the 10,000 anyway. But the point is for him to solve some puzzles and use his brain. And then have other games that are going to test him and find joy in that challenge. Because he's just playing and beating a game. You're just playing and beating a game. But when you have that, we all know, that satisfaction.
The sense of accomplishment.
Yeah. When he gets that sense of accomplishment, that is addictive. And that's what I want him to have.
But the point I was going to bring up, you made me think about this when you said he got the soccer game, all these prompts came up.
Yeah.
I have a guy I watched a video of, and he made a lot of points.
It was 3 prompts, by the way. 3 prompts, each one sentence. He didn't want to read them.
You made me think because I watched this video of a guy, and he made up a lot of points that made sense to me, and especially for a younger demographic, this makes a point. Remember how back when we used to play Nintendo games, they never had that. A lot of it you learned through either trial and error, or it taught you through playing the game. You didn't have a tutorial. You didn't have prompts. You didn't have a book you had to read in the actual game saying, do this, to do this, to do this. It was all just leading you through the game, and then eventually, it'll show you this, to then show later on a harder version of it.
Right.
Point in fact, Mega Man. I know it's Mega Man.
A lot of them are like that. Mega Man, Punch Out.
But you'd have floating platforms, and you'd start to go on it, and then a little further ahead, you would see it starts to drop off. That way, you're seeing ahead of time. You're learning the actual mechanism and how it plays, as opposed to just throwing you in here or going, "Oh, here's a tutorial." Whenever you see this happening, you got to do this.
Hey, listen.
But that's what I'm saying. A lot of games got away from that.
Yeah.
And of course, kids aren't used to that. So they just want to get more into the action, faster paced. Well,
I don't know that it went away from it. I think it's the games that we're playing now don't do it. I think entry-level games still do it. I think some entry-level games will go by a tutorial, but I think the tutorials are also important for kids. And we are getting into another topic, and maybe we'll discuss it next week.
That's what I was thinking possibly.
But I do know that when I played the Metal Gear Solid, actually the original Metal Gear, besides the truck have started to move, a lot of my vocabulary comes from Metal Gear games. When I was doing my vocabulary was very advanced because I was reading a lot in video games. And still to this day, I feel like I can express myself, even though I repeat myself a lot. But I can express myself and be able to tell people what my vocabulary is better because of video games, because they give that to me. At a certain point, it's got to be something that more than just passing the time of pressing buttons.
Mm-hmm.
We should definitely get into that topic another time. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we pretty much covered what we're thinking.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
What was it?
Pokemon.
Is that a wrap?
We're going to put a bow on it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Mm-hmm.